Hello, and welcome back to DIY Life. Today I'm jumping on the train and heading to the Steve Irwin. It's pretty cool. I only live 1 hour on the train away from the Steve, so I'm going to board the train now. But the cool thing is I've got my laptop and I'm going to do some work on a complete startup procedure to train other engineers and any viewers who want to learn how to start the ship up completely from black ship to leaving for sea, throwing the lines. So I'm working on that now. I would like to be sleeping like old mate, but we've got a heap of work to do and I'm pumped for today. So let's go, mate.
This train will stop at Cockle Creek.
I have had a lot of comments asking what is the ship's purpose and when will the ship be ready? They're two great questions. I will address that in a video where I interview Kerry, the owner of the ship, and then we'll give updates and things like that. And also I'll give updates throughout the video from time to time. So let's go. So there was a bit of a weird noise when I got on board. I don't know if it is ghosts or something like that, but some weird noises coming through those turbos, so I'm just having a look at that. What the hell? If you think about how many people have served on this ship and how many spirits would be with this ship, then maybe it is plausible. Weird. I want to check up the stats, mate. That's weird. I have heard wind coming through the turbo. Sounded like birds. I thought there was a bird stuck in the exhaust or something. So, could be something to do with that. But I want to know. I want to find out. Alright. No sound up here from that. What the hell, mate? I don't know what that is. I really don't. Well, it's confirmed there's ghosts on the Steve Irwin. But back to the startup warm through video of both main engines. I'm here with Bill and Ashley again. Let's get it. I found some last time, the tape.
Yeah. Did you know where the Teflon tape is, Bill?
Knowing where things are on a ship is a challenge at the best of times, let alone a ship that's been sitting for 5 years. So here we go. And look at me go. I am trying some spanners, the correct spanners, instead of a shifter. But look at that, it's metric. Metric? Jeez, it's metric. Yes, that's right, it's metric because it's a scanner Volda CPP system. And that's Norwegian, that's metric. Oh well. Back to the trusty adjustable spanner.
Is that the one or the servo? Which
that one was the one that was leaking.
Yeah. Well, you see, that one is for the... I thought this was the one we fitted out of the scraps.
Yeah, let me see. It might be that one.
See, it's 260 bar instead of 100 bar.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, let's double check. Well, I checked my CPP YouTube video and Ashley was correct. It is that one.
The only thing we haven't... The other one had an electrical tie going around. So we could supply electrical tie and mutton.
You want a cable tie through?
Well, I think it was just to give it a bit of rigidity.
Yeah, for sure. I'll sort that out. Wonderful.
challenge we've got, as you well know, is the lack of money, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that, at least that's a better range.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see if I can recruit that.
Oh yeah, I'll get it. I'll see if I get a thin one.
Thinner one.
Yeah. It won't go through, I don't
Whether
think.
or not you can get the thinner one.
Like that.
Oh yeah.
Put a bit of Villadon behind. Yeah, the issue with money certainly is a thing. So what I'm going to do with my YouTube channel is, you know, once I've got a good video of it starting up, or we do a sea trial, then I might link a donation to Ship for Good for anyone who has $5 or $10 or $2 or whatever to, you know, help out.
Lazy 50 grand, 100
All
grand.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
$2 to $2 million, it all counts.
Because I reckon if you had 100 grand,
Yeah.
you could throw it at it and you'd probably get it
Yeah.
operational. You know,
Yeah.
not completely fixed, but operational.
Yeah.
But
We'll have a red hot go anyway, so we're doing these things, so yeah, it's really good. Alright, I'll see if I can get a thin cable tie. Alright, this little puppy, this one. Just I'll bend it. We'll put it around its base, right?
yeah, well, the others are all around the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, geez, you nearly got it. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh, geez.
oh. I'll get a bit of Villadon to put behind it. I'll get a bit of foam here. Bit of foam.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Villadon's next to the steering flat. We took
Oh,
it
yeah.
out of the steering flat.
Oh yeah. Is it? Oh, it does work.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You can see it dim. Wow.
With the gearbox comes, Steve, when you start it, when it warms up, you have to adjust that control valve.
Which one?
The gearbox, the main gearbox.
Yeah, that's
pump.
right. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you that.
Because it started now. It's running.
Yeah. Yeah, let's put it on.
We found the Jennies start much better with a little bit of heat on them. We put the heat on and started number 3, which is a hard one first. They
Yep.
all started on one bottle, 300.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah. Sweet. Alright. I'll show you the gearbox. So, I was always taught that at the end, when you've finished with it, you wind out the pressure regulating valve.
Right.
And when you start up, oh, there we go. There's a delay from the start.
Yeah, yes, that's a trap.
So once you start up, I don't know why, I might look into it because we could probably streamline it. Maybe there's too much amperage when there's cold oil, when the
Yeah.
it shocks.
Because it's got cold here.
Yeah.
Cold.
Yeah. And then lock it off. And essentially, once this is running and up to pressure, then we turn on the backup.
Right.
But the problem is, if it needs to be a backup, the pressure hasn't been set. So what I'd want to do is turn it off, make number 2 start as standby,
Yeah.
and then set its pressure. So its pressure's already set, see?
Yeah.
So I'd actually like to potentially leave the pressures set, because that can be a backup pump. It's actually acting as a backup now.
Yep.
So I'll switch it back now. That'll start up. So we're good now? Yeah.
That valve, is that's totally seized up.
Oh, we unseized it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's open fully. The bucket's just there, so when you slide over it to get steel, yeah.
Oh, right.
So Cam and I did the discharge and return valves,
Right.
suction and discharge valves, open, close. So it's all good. So I potentially will change the procedure so we don't have to start up and set the pressures. But obviously when it's getting hotter and thicker, we've got to adjust it a bit. So that's going. I'll just check the drain pump now. Check the level of the drain tank. Quite high. Very high. Right there. So we want to see if we can start up the drain pump in manual without the CPP motor running. So we're going to check that now. Can you give me 10 seconds?
Yep.
Once 10 seconds is up. Once 10 seconds is up, hit the yellow button. I want to see if we can run the drain pump in manual, like you've got manual.
Right.
See if we can run it just to empty it, even without this pump running.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
That's great. So that's manual. That's great.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's running. So I believe if it's in manual, it won't talk to the high and low level. Just hold off a second. So because that's in manual, it probably won't be subsequent to the high and low level switches. It'll just constantly run.
Ah, it stopped.
So it auto stops with low level. That's great.
Yeah.
So now we can chuck it in auto.
Right.
You would think manual would run until you turn it off, but either way. Now it's in manual, and now it's in auto. Now we can start up the CPP, check our gauge, and then I'll recheck the drain pumps operating.
Should be able to start.
So with the CPP pumps, it's always starting it with the e-stop, because I've just never done it any other way. There's no way to stop it other than the e-stop.
Right.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Good level. That looks good. Yeah, alright. I'll just check that drain pump once again and then I'll come up. Low, that'll be working good. If it's not working good, it's in auto now, so the high and low level switches should tell it to turn on and turn off. But if that actually fails, I'm not worried about that now because, as you saw in the last video, I verified that it was okay. So if there is a problem, we have an alarm, high level CPP drain tank high level alarm, so I'm satisfied. Normally shut them off before we start, but I'd like to keep them running. Once we've started, we've checked out oil pressure's good, then shut it off.
We haven't run it since we did all the filters.
Oh, the oil filters, yeah, alright.
But I think they're only suction filters.
Yeah, alright.
So
Let me... Yeah.
Put the air back on the main engine.
Yeah. Well, what is that? Okay. So when I hit accept, that light goes solid, just like this panel. So that's probably going to be high return oil pressure because the oil's cold and thick. So that tells you that's running. Yes, interesting. That's okay, it's a bit dirty. Yeah, we're up to there now. I'd just like to follow it now and just see how we go with it. Sweet. I've just got this list here.
Yep.
Because I figure, you know, we might as well start following it.
Yep.
So, engine control, which it is in the on that panel there in the ECR. Lube oil pump. Check indicator cocks are open, power over. You've already done that.
Yep.
Check the lube oil level in the turbos and the governor oil level. Yep. Freshwater header tanks.
We haven't opened the header tank.
Alright, I'll go do that. That's why I love this.
Yep.
Yeah, you want to have a look? How's the level? Looking good. Good to go. Yeah.
One thing, remember that little trick, you got to press that?
Yeah.
So,
We'll have to fix that.
yeah.
So, you know, just this way? Yeah. Not full. Yeah. Yeah, if it won't blow over, we'll just realign it. I like this ratchet.
We just couldn't get one of them the proper ones.
Right. blowing the engine over is kind of luck of the draw, and starting it actually, just having the engine in the correct spot for the air to be injected on top of the piston, and the piston's at top dead center. So usually just bar it over about 7 times or something like that every time and try it again, so you're not there sweating away.
Lucky 7.
So it is challenging to try and get it to blow over sometimes, so maybe you forget to have a look when you blow it over, the discharge of gas from the blowing over, from the indicator cocks, but it's very important. You've got to look for fuel or jacket water, because that's going to cause hydraulic lock when you start up if you didn't do that, but it will also tell you there's a leaking injector or a cracked head, and there's many other reasons why, but just very mindful to definitely observe them, even though it's a challenge to get it to blow over. So always check.
Do you want to do the honours? So full across, then over, and then balance RPM. Yeah. Bit further over. Yeah, so you had it firing.
And then I
Yeah,
did it too quick. Yeah.
No, it's alright. So you go quite quick all the way over.
Right.
You hear it pulling up RPM, then back off.
Right.
Yeah, you were very cautious. That was good. It's just we need a bit more speed. Yeah. Starting up.
You right, Bill?
Yeah. That's it. Up a bit. Woo-hoo.
Thing to do once your main engine is started is close the main air start valve to that engine. When I was doing this, I felt a bit of air passing my fingertips, so just feeling that now. So I'm going to get a spanner and tighten up the gland packing on that valve. The gland packing sits around the spindle, like the shaft of the valve, which rotates the valve, and it's got kind of like a rope around it, and then a gland which, see, I'm tightening up, that gland pushes down on that gland packing or the rope type stuff and seals it a bit better. And I've stopped the air leak now, so that's excellent. It's very good to stop any stored energy leaks because you need to use electrical power or diesel power to make more compressed air. So any leak like this, oil or jacket water or fuel or air, any leak is so beneficial to run a more efficient engine room in a ship.
Yeah.
Did you have any luck with that remote clutch-in button? Or?
No, I haven't done any work on it yet. It would be brilliant to get that running and the main engine button that we shouldn't have to touch either. It's something to do with lockout, I bet ya.
Yeah.
Probably the signal from the gearbox pumps that when they have pressure isn't telling the main engine and the gearbox that it's okay to clutch in or it's okay to start the engine because we've got oil pressure in the gearbox.
Right.
So that's just an electrical thing we've got to work out.
Well,
But
at least it's not sticking like it was when I did it for the Surveyor.
yeah. Can't get past 55 degrees. It must be a little bit, because it should go 100, even though you'd never use 100 in a stern.
No.
I can't remember if it ever did, but on other ships, you know, you can go back and forth the full amount, but not that big of a deal. That indicator's out again. I'm going to cross-reference this indicator versus, like, this is at 0 on the D10, so I'm going to check the indicator on the actual CPP.
Oh, right, to see.
It's because remember I changed it to 0, so it was perfect.
Yeah, before, and then you went up in the wheelhouse, it was the same. So
So, I'll when Ross and I were here, and my friends, we clutched in and everything. It was reading ahead, but it wasn't going ahead. Yeah, and when we first clutched in, I made it go to 0 like this, going astern a bit. I made it go to 0, and that's why we were pushing water forward when we first ever clutched it in. I
wonder whether that had anything to do with the remote, because it's got to be 0 pitch to.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. I'll just check now. Okay, it is 10 ahead. That is correct. Okay. That needs adjusting.
I'm just checking the lock is off, but also there's an adjustment there that I thought was an adjustment, but it's actually not. I actually don't know exactly what this does, so I probably should not be touching it. I'm going to have a look at the book and work that out. But for now, I can just pull that back astern a bit and then it'll come to 0 pitch and we can clutch in.
Yeah, so that indicator is spot on.
Indicator's at 0 now, so we're good to clutch in. Clutching in port main engine first. Going to run it up, get it warm, then shut down, and then clutch in starboard and do the same thing. Just have it more controlled, doing one at a time. Always love doing this, even though this is the backup way, the secondary way to clutch in. We will be fixing the buttons, which is pneumatically operated. I still love doing this. You hear the main engines increase fuel, increase load. I really love it. Feels a bit powerful. And you might be thinking, hey, you've already clutched in before, why are you doing it again? Well, when we clutched in the first time, we didn't run them for long, and we didn't have the saltwater system running and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be doing a fair bit of testing here. I'm going to have the RPM of the engines to quite a high RPM, which will in turn have the shaft RPM quite high as well.
So Nagoro, how did you clutch in from down there?
With the directly on the
on
clutch
the manual.
valve. Yeah.
Right. I thought you were doing it down there, and I thought there was no clutch.
Yeah,
So
no.
you didn't try here.
No.
No.
No, I didn't actually.
We could actually stop it and try it.
Yeah, we could try it. Let's try it for the starboard one. It didn't work last time. I haven't
right.
changed anything,
No.
so that's probably why I was out of my mind.
Yeah.
All right.
So that worked
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Copy, Kerry. The ship isn't moving forward or aft.
Sideways a little bit, that's all.
Yeah, no worries. That's normal. Bit of a prop walk. I'll come out and have a look and then continue. Cool. I'll just go out to the dock and just have a quick look, and then we could potentially raise the RPM and get it warmer and stuff. We'll just do one engine at a time. Let me show you how to declutch in case there's an emergency. Oh yeah, it's not too... Oh. Hey. Oh, one sec. Yeah, true, it could be. I just would love to see that fairly constant, but I guess with currents, see, now there's no load.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to make sure it's good. It's a good sight to see. Yeah, no, wouldn't it? That's weird. But it could just be the flow of the water in relation to the depth. Yeah. Actually, I can just see the shaft RPM. If the shaft RPM is going up and down, that will mean the clutch is disengaging. And see?
Yeah, it could be. I don't know what's happening next door.
True. Oh, right, yeah. Yep. It's bloody great. Yeah, we'll do testing on port main engine and get it all hot. Then we'll. What's up? What's wrong?
Don't pop the yoki.
Yoki, what? Which bit?
That was alright. It was just.
Oh no, they can handle heaps. Yeah.
If there's anywhere that getting chucked out, you know.
Oh, of these?
Even the smaller ones, like the Navy you've got.
Yeah, I get ya. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll just keep it running just to get it all up to temp and make sure that charge air cooler isn't getting too hot like it was before, because we've got the valves different. And then we'll just do the same for the starboard separately, so it's all controlled. And then later on I'd like a full start up. And
well, Roscoe will be here. Can you wait till he comes?
Sure can.
Because he really wants to learn that.
Yeah. All right.
Fantastic.
Bloody ripper.
Good work. So, we're walking away here.
It's up to you. If you've got work to do, it's like we know the prop isn't walking, the CPP isn't walking, the pitch, so we're all good.
Was it start up pretty
Yeah, it's just had to get it in the right position so it would blow over.
Oh, and you have to bar it into the right position, you mean? Or?
Yeah, for starting up, yeah. I'll just check temps and then I'll change engines.
Upon coming back into the engine room, I just went down to the main engine, just had a look at the governor oil level, because that drops after you start it, but it's considerably low. That's why I'm getting Ash's attention, so we can top it up. We'll have to shut that main engine down. You don't actually have to shut it down to top it up, but we don't know where the correct funnel or syringe or whatever the oil can is, so it's probably better to shut down. Be safe. Whew.
Lube oil schedule. Woodward Governor MLC30 oil or MHP 153.
They're trying to park their tugboat next to us. We got out.
There's currently a tugboat trying to dock to the side of the Steve Irwin, and all of the prop wash is making it really hard for them. So it's actually good timing. We'll just clutch out and shut down and top up the governor, so it's all good.
The air cooler seemed okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Both the same. That's Starboard. Oh yeah, no points there. No. We made up a funnel and a tube
Oh yeah.
to top both governors up
Yep.
because this was low.
Right,
So
right.
that's losing oil.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. So we just got to find that bloody tube and the funnel. Get
Yeah.
a cup of coffee.
Top
We'll
that up.
Top that up.
Start that one up.
Yep.
Oh, we'll continue with this one to get it hot, so I know that the cooler isn't.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. Because both coolers were 40 in, 20 out.
Oh, that's great.
You can feel the temperature.
That's great. It probably is fixed while it's still warm.
You just want to double
after
check.
smoko, we'll.
I'll just open the box.
Oh, that's all right.
Leave it.
Yeah, we're not going to be too long. Yeah. Whew.
While we're topping up the governors, I'm just going over the startup procedure because there's a fair few things that I'm wanting to add and I've noticed. So to just adjust the wording or maybe move a step a little bit higher in the steps. So just adjusting that now.
Good idea, the syringe.
It's come in handy because everything else, we didn't have the right tubing.
It might go down a bit when we start it, but
Yeah.
Get it in between the top and the black line.
yeah, I guess so.
I'll give it just a little bit.
Yeah. Cool. Very good. It just kept bleeding off like.
Yeah, but we
These things all need resetting.
don't leak
These all leak. They only take a bit and it's probably lapping
But
each
those
other
ones
first.
are auto drainers.
Yeah, but it's going pop, 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 pop.
Oh, too quick.
It's too quick.
Oh yeah.
That one too.
Right.
It's the same on both of them.
Alright.
Yeah,
I've had these two bits, they're alright.
it seems okay then.
Yeah, that's good. It's just when I started, it was like. Yeah.
It did that once with us. And then,
Oh yeah. Yeah, no worries. I'd like to get in the habit of putting the auxiliary salt water on.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah.
wait.
Yep.
You?
So, you ready to give it a start again?
Yeah, you want to have another? You have another go, and I'll get Bill to do Starboard.
Okay. Right.
Oh, I turned that air off. So just go over to here until you hear it really fire, and then a quick stab over to this side,
Right.
but balance the high RPM. Yeah. checking everything is okay.
Everything is okay.
Copy.
Right, so still at 0 pitch. And
Yeah. Yeah, copy, Kerry. I will raise engine RPM just a little bit to warm up.
Copy.
Maybe the control air valve is shut off. That's what it'd be.
Which, yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
So I've got engine RPM control.
And was that shut off, that little?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Because the procedure with Sea Shepherd was only open that control air once the bridge has got their stuff sorted.
Ah.
We never started it in engine room control. I'll show the viewers in engine room control here. For control air or bridge control, there's actually main air start. So in actual fact, when we start the starboard main engine, let's select this to main air start, and we mightn't have to press those buttons.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So bridge and engine room. That must be combined operation. Bridge and engine room can both have control, maybe. I'll have to verify that.
But I wondered whether that pointer or the knob was the... See, at the moment it's engine.
I know what you mean. But yeah, because it's got a pointer, I'm going to go for the pointer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you think if it's in air start, the bridge could...
Exhaust temps.
350, 330, 330.
I'll get it to 7 and then we'll have a look at charge air temps and all the temps.
Yep.
This is fun. Hear the turbos spooling up. I'll leave it there. I don't want to cause too much turbulence in the water.
No. As you say, it's thrashing around. How come that one's not?
So what have we got? Tacho, shaft tacho, shaft RPM, shaft horsepower. Okay.
No.
Calibrate on. Yeah, I've never actually used.
No.
Yeah, like if they weren't there, I wouldn't go, oh, where are they? Because I've never ever,
No.
you know.
No.
It's just one of those things. Alright, that's stable RPM, I'll leave it there. Alright, let's.
It's warming up a bit.
Yeah,
so
warming up a bit. The exhaust temps. So it cycles through 6, cylinder 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Isn't it the 12,400?
And 1 and 2, I think. 426 and
1 and 2.
1 and 2 are hot. Yeah. Who knows how long it's been since the injector timing's been done and everything like that.
Yeah.
But you know, it's only light load at the moment, so
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. Cool. All right, let's have a look at the temps and everything.
Let's see what.
Yahoo!
So this is the charge air cooler out temperature, so it's quite low, which is good. And the charge air cooler in, after the intake air has been compressed, see it's around about 95 or something. So it's being cooled by the seawater in that charge air cooler, or boost air cooler, intercooler. It's the intake air, it's being cooled, so that's great. Here we have the in and out jacket water temperatures of the main engine. This is checking the turbo bearing oil bath level. It's looking good. So there's 2 on each turbo, and there's 2 turbos on each main engine. That's a charge air cooler in temperature and out temperature on the forward charge air cooler. So that's working good as well. Feeling the charge air pressure there. So I'm not seeing any charge air pressure on these gauges. It's a fore and aft turbo. But I'm just having a look down the line that the gauges are supplied from. It seems like there's an inline filter there, which I'll have to take off and check. There's no blockage. Here, just tracing the jacket water cooling pipe that goes to the cooler, which is that cooler there, up there, my hand's on. Obviously the salt water's passing through that. You'll see it's written in and out just above the gauges. It's been crossed out to out and in. It's just the delineation between if it's out of the engine and in the engine, or out of the cooler and into the cooler. So it's just opposite if it's you're talking about the cooler or the engine block. This is the inlet air temperature after the charge air coolers in that inlet runner. And same story for the B bank inlet runner. I've actually got to remember A bank and B bank. I think it starts from port and then starboard, but some ships are starboard then port. Numbering of engines and things like that. But I'll have to double check that. But irregardless, just having a look around and figure I probably should dip the oil, lube oil. So here I go. Once the camera focuses, you will see a max line and it says 0 degrees trim. That's talking about the trim of the vessel relative to forward and aft draft marks. So if the ship is 4 meters in the water deep at the aft and 4 meters in the water deep in the forward end, then that's 0 degrees trim. But when you're at sea, with different loading conditions, different amounts of fuel, the trim's going to be different. So you've got to factor that in for the dipping of the main engine oil level. The tag I'm cleaning on this little box is actually a fuel tank. It's the injector pipe leak alarm. If the pipes burst, they're under high pressure from the injector pump to the injector. When they burst, they're going to spray out a lot of fuel at high pressure. So you want to know that in regards to fire prevention You also don't want it to dilute your lube oil in the sump, because it is behind that little cover underneath the rocker cover. And it also could leak out into the bilge and pose a serious hazard. When the fuel pipe bursts, it leaks off into that tank. The tank fills up in a small amount of capacity, and it hits a float in there, which sends an alarm to the alarm panel, so the engineers know about it. So it's a good safety device. Just putting my hands on the charge air cooler, salt water in and out, just a feeling a temperature difference there, and then I'll make my way over to the jacket water cooler as well. Feel that salt water pipe again, in and out, and then the actual jacket water in and out, and then have a look at those temperature gauges for the jacket water in and out of the main engine. The one that's labelled in was actually labelled out, and it's been crossed out, but I like to know the out temperature from the engine going to the cooler, because that's the hotter temperature on those two pipes. So I would be changing those around a bit later. And then you can see the oil bath of the backside of the turbo there. Just checking each individual jacket water temperature on the head, on the cylinder heads, individual ones. It's good to check those. The governor again. Also checking the seawater flow through the high C suction to the main engines, the C strainer. That's looking good. And then secondly, on the engine-driven saltwater cooling pump, the outlet pressure, which you can physically see, and you can see it on the gauge there, but I like to see that as well. No air bubbles, so that's great. Now we're going to take a look at the cooler, which is below the jacket water cooler, which is the main engine lube oil cooler. And it does have the original labels or texter marks on it. This should be out of the cooler, and then this is out of the engine, which is the original label. So that should be the hottest part from the engine, and you've actually got the high temperature shutdown alarm. We should be able to read it together. Lube oil temp high shutdown for main engine. And again, that's the salt water cooling pipe there, in and out. You tend to utilize your touch and feel through your hands, the temperature of stuff, but you can also, which I like also, to have a temperature gun. Here I'm going to the main seawater outlet valve, overboard valve. Once all the seawater has done all of its cooling, it's going straight overboard. You just want to check that valve is fully open. That one's the starboard one, so it's a bit cold, and that's a lot warmer. So it's good, it's working well. Then I can trace it back. Where does it go to? It goes to the outlet of the jacket water cooler. It goes from there, through there, back through the lube oil cooler. And if you trace it backwards, that's a temperature gauge for the salt water in that pipe. Trace it back. Where does it go? Goes to the line that supplies the charge air coolers, and it's basically, there's a few different thermostatic valves there, but it goes back to the line that comes from the engine driven salt water pump, which we saw before, that's it right there. This next temperature gauge is on the gearbox. It's on the thrust bearing. It's not pertinent today because we're not actually underway, but when the propeller is pushing the ship, there's a lot of force on the thrust bearing on the propeller shaft, so that thrust bearing, gets a bit of heat into it, so you always got to check that. As you may have heard, I'm just pointing out the clutch pressure gauge. When you clutch in, that oil pressure is going to come up, so you can monitor that when you're underway, because you're always clutched in when you're underway on either engine. So another gauge to check. Other temperatures and levels to check are these intermediate shaft bearing, oil level and temperature. And then the rear shaft bearing, oil level and temperature. And lastly, at the aft of this port tunnel that we're in, the header tank for the inboard stern tube seal. Just top that oil level out, because that's an overflow that I'm pouring back into the header tank. It seems to push a bit of oil out, so we're just cycling back in. And then the header tank for the stern tube is when we walk into the engine room. That's the first tank on the left there, which we checked earlier.
Hell yeah. That's what we like to see. That's just the port main engine. 690 RPM. And it's a left turning propeller. Why all the wash is flying off the bottom of the hull, because it's flowing that way, and the prop walk you would get from a left turn, I guess, would be across to this side of the wharf. Yeah. It's a very good sight to see, I must say, fellas. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very, very happy. Because one movement of that lever and we can just go forward and take lines off. Obviously there's other checks to do, more than just clutching in, but you know, it's such good hope for the ship. And literally I was the last engineer on board when this ship last moved, so it's just a matter of time, and you know, things rusting up, and you know, like we did the saltwater video with trying to unseize all the valves. Like, we need those valves open and closed, and electronic systems. Like, the reason why I'm clutching in manually is because the remote buttons, the 24 volt control electrical system isn't operational yet, but I'll have to look at the drawings and nut it out because I want that working. But right now, as long as all the other systems have been checked, like we're checking this, the fire system's going to be redone, CO2 release system is going to be done, and all the other things. Right now, I could push the, you know, pitch lever forward to 10 degrees forward, and the ship would move off the berth and go to sea because the steering works. So we could do that, you know. So it's looking very promising, and I don't know, I had a feeling when I came to the ship today. I was feeling really good. There was a bit of overcastness and it was just a crisp morning, and I just had a feeling of like, we're going to get so much stuff done today, and I'm just really, really, really pumped. Yeah, we're just looking at the stack, the exhaust like before, the port main engines. Yeah, full on. That's really good. Let's see how it is with Starboard after lunch. Alright, that's excellent. Alright. The engine should be up to temperature now, so all the testing's been done. Make sure the coolers are working. The salt water is taking the heat energy out of the jacket water and the oil of the main engine. Then we'll shut down, have lunch, and do the same test for Starboard. All looking great. Gearbox oil's good. Pressure is good. Temperature's good. CPP hydraulic oil temperature's a little bit warm. We could open that valve for the cooler. Hydraulic oil pressure is good. Starboard's off. Port main engine lube oil pressure is good. Fresh water pressure is good. Exhaust temps good. There's no main engine jacket water temperature here, is there?
No, not that because I was looking for it.
Right. Well, I'll just have a look at that, them in and out, and it's probably going to be hovering around 80 by now.
It was,
yeah,
70 to 80.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's enough then. And then we can start the...
Just bring this one back a bit.
Yeah. I'll just have a look at the temps, and then I'll signal to you and you can pull it back.
See, I thought I'd do a little view of in the valley. You can see the exhaust headers there feeding each turbo, and you can see 3 cylinders on my left and right hand side feed the turbo closest to me, and then the headers further away from me feeding the turbo at the aft end of the engine. But counter to that, the turbo on each end feeds each side of the engine. So it's fed from 6 cylinders at each end of the engine, but feeds each side of the engine, which is interesting. Some form of balance. That's why later on you'll see a little problem we had with the starboard main engine. As a marine engineer, it's always good to have a keen eye, especially on old engines. I was trained on this engine for 3 months down in Antarctica, and I just found a leak on top of that fuel filter housing. There will be a copper washer there that needs replacing, but I just tightened it up for the time being. But yeah, with this old ship and old machinery, there's a few parts of it that leak and stuff, and rattle, loosens, things like that. So I certainly do have some stories, but it was a good thing that I was thrown in the deep end. The first time I ever worked on a ship was on the ship for a 3-month Antarctic campaign. So I learnt the quick way of how to maintain old machinery and basically maintain lots of equipment on board a ship. Always needs a tending hand. Well, that's all for the port main engine, just starting the lube oil priming pump there, and we're going to have a little bit of lunch, going to wash up, and then we're going to get straight into the starboard main engine testing. Well, we've had lunch and we've started up the starboard main engine. We're ready to clutch it in and do some testing, but what I'm noticing right now is that prop shaft is already spinning. I don't really like that. Could be residual oil pressure in the clutch pack, I'm not too sure. I want to get to the bottom of this because I only want to have the propeller shaft spin when we engage either side clutch, so that's why I'm staring at this part right now. Again, just checking the engine driven saltwater pump pressure there, and adjusting the auxiliary water flow. You may remember, if you've been a long time viewer, what the auxiliary saltwater cools. That's the gearbox pump there that it cools the oil for. It also cools the CPP oil and the main air compressor jacket water. Just like the port main engine, we're doing some preliminary checks before we run up the RPM and get it really hot. Just check all the levels, make sure everything's good, and then we'll get it warm and warm it through. Well, preliminary checks are all done for starboard main engine. We're cool to clutch in. Just having a lot of trouble getting this Allen key to move, so I do what I do and kick it. It's quite stuck, so all good now. Ready to clutch in. I do want to one day get a bit of emery paper on the end of a stick with a bit of weight and put it on that prop shaft to get all the underside rust off from the condensation from sitting from 5 years. So It's just one of the OCD things that I want to do because it annoys me seeing it there. But that'll be done when everything else is all good. You'll have to pardon the really bad camera work here, but we certainly had a problem. If you haven't worked it out already, you can hear that the port main engine is blowing itself over, but that's because the clutch for the port main engine is partially engaged and it's spinning the port main engine from the rotation of the gearbox. This is a first for me. I've never had this happen. Thankfully, the priming pump was on for that engine, and even so, the rotation of the engine will bring up some of the oil pressure for that non-running port main engine, so there's no real damage to the bearings. It's just something I really don't like, and we really need to get to the bottom of this. So I did think the gearbox filter might have been blocked up, so I wanted to turn it to the backup filter, and I also thought that the wing nut that I'm just about to touch was a bolt that allows you to rotate the duplex filter to select the other one, but obviously not because it's leaking. So I had to quickly put that back in, only a little bit of a spill, but that duplex filter can be selected, either filter or both filters, even without that, wing nut bleed screw, obviously. But that's literally the first time I've touched it in a long time, if ever. Well, you learn something new every day, they say. The mess is all cleaned up. Now we can go ahead and raise the RPM for starboard main engine and get this bloody thing warm, mate. So just raising the RPM in slow increments up to around about 700 RPM. It's going to get that shaft spinning at around about 250 RPM. Get some good water flow and good load on the engine. You can hear the turbo spooling up again and the movement of water and the propeller through the water. Rumbling sound.
Go ahead.
A little bit of a scraping noise from the forward turbocharger.
Yeah, copy. I'll come back down. Reduce RPM to idle. Thanks, man.
So Ashley has reported a scraping sound from the forward turbocharger of starboard main engine. That could be a number of things, but it could be surging, which I've heard before on that engine, and both engines actually, and it's due to imbalance of the turbo in relation to the load of the other turbo.
Is it surging?
No, there's like a scraping noise you can hear where the villadon's around the air filter.
Oh.
Just a scraping noise, didn't it? Yeah, which unusual.
Yeah, that could be surging. That's what happens when it surges. Like.
Oh yeah. Well, that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know whether it was mechanical or that.
Yeah, let's have a look. No, good check.
So understandably, the noise isn't happening right now because we've pulled the load off it, but we're just discussing that right now. And then we're going to put the load back on to get some data and get some information, to just have a listen to it, have a look at the charge air pressures and stuff like that, and work out how we can rectify it. Jacket water temperatures all good. That's pretty cool actually, so that's no dramas at all. Just checking the turbo oil bath as well, but yeah, I want to get that load back on, have a listen to it. Hear a little bit of the surging, but I think with a little bit more load should hear it more pronounced. Outlet temp of charge air cooler is good. The inlet temp is normal, so that's really not an issue there. Sometimes when they're hot and don't have a good differential, it can surge quite sooner. But just doing all the other checks for the cylinder heads while the load is increased, and then we can have a look at that turbo surge. You might think, hey, there's a fair bit of skippable footage in this video. The thing is, though, in real life, I'm trying to share this as a real life point of view, long form video like some of the others. There's not much skipping in real life, so that's what I'm trying to do here. And whilst I'm looking down here, I've found another problem. Found an oil leak. So again, this is just part of being a marine engineer, always being on your heels, keeping a keen eye out for things, and just found this fault. So I'm going to rectify that now. We will get back to the surging in a moment, but just going to fix this, and then surely the load will have been increased and we can have a look at that surging. And the other thing is, I've said it before and I'll say it again, people say, oh yeah, that won't take much to get that ship ready. I'm like, yeah, maybe might seem that way, but there is a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, not just in the engine room as well. So people have got to remember that, and it's really good work that everyone's doing on this ship, and I'm really proud of it. I'm sure Kerry is too. So yeah. And the adjustable spanner, the shifter, saved the day again. That's why I love them. Would have been good if it was my Barco, but that's the one I had today, and it did the job. I just like them because they're always in your pocket. You can fix and rectify problems like this one really quick. You don't have to go to the workshop and get the right spanner and have the wrong one, or that kind of stuff. That's why I like it. But yeah, I certainly will be using the correct spanners in the future as much as I can, because I have seen those comments, of course. So I hear you. I also hear some turbo surging, so let's have a look. Now you can see how that could have sounded like metal scraping on metal, if you know what I mean. So totally understandable. The surging has some weird sounds. Now I'm just signaling to Ashley just to pull the load off, because I've seen enough. We'll probably bring it up a little bit later to have a look at the boost pressure and see how out of equilibrium they are forward to aft. But for now we're just going to clutch out and chill it out for a bit. So the camera work wasn't so good when we were first looking at the charge air gauges, but what we were discussing is one turbo is so much more pressure than the other, showing the imbalance and hence why there would be surging. So up we go again. So you can hear the surging and you can see the imbalance in the fore and aft turbo charge air. Pressure is 0.6 versus 0.4 bar, so that's quite an imbalance. And even when it's idling you can see the imbalance, which is quite interesting. So because it's a engine with two turbos, and two banks and two turbos feeding either bank, you want that to be perfectly balanced. And then once you've balanced the engine, you need to balance the load between both engines when you've got two engines clutched in. That's a little art in itself, playing with the governors, but I have had it where all the charge air pressure gauges were all pretty much the same. Felt really good. That was on the last Antarctic campaign I did. So I've pulled the load back, but you can still see an imbalance. 0.45 versus 0.3. Yeah, round about that. So there's still quite an imbalance even in a lower load. So that's, something we're going to fix. So while we cool this engine down before we shut it down, I just want to run you through some of the gauges on the engine panel here. The first one up is the start air pressure, and that's 0 because I've got that valve shut. The tags need a bit of Brasso on them for sure, a bit of a clean up, coat of paint on the panel. The next one's lube oil pump discharge pressure. The next one is fuel oil pressure after the filter. Next one up is the lube oil temperature after it's gone through the cooler. That's pretty cool. 35 degrees Celsius, by the way. Sorry, Yankees. And that's a disused gauge for the scavenging air. Would have been probably temperature. That's a charge air temperature, otherwise known as scavenging air or boost pressure. And then we got gearbox lube oil filter inlet, lube oil temp, which is not working, and lube oil after the filter, I believe. Yeah. And a couple of it's a speed sensor there, and a couple of pressure interlock switches here that make it so you can't start the main engine unless these parameters are met. So this could be the issue of why we have to press that button on the other side when we're starting the main engine to bypass these shutdown. Well, this is a low oil pressure alarm for the gearbox, but this other one here is an interlock for gearbox oil pressure. So if you don't have good gearbox oil pressure, you're not going to be allowed to start the main engine. So we're bypassing that every time we use that bypass on the start air system. Although we know that our gearbox pressure is up, so it's safe in that realm, we do need to have that fixed, because I just want it fixed. That gauge there is the control air pressure, which is variable in relation to the stick in this control room, which I'm touching now. That control air will be changing now on that gauge. To raise the RPM, it tells the governor to raise the RPM. The governor talks to the fuel racks and all the injector pumps to increase more fuel. So it's a kind of a simple system, which I really like. Just checking the temperatures on the CPP oil cooler, the before and after the cooler, the oil temperature. But then I'm putting my hand on the seawater pipes going in and out of the cooler, and I'm finding that there's heat on both sides, which is not normal. That kind of indicates that the flow isn't there. So I'm just totally opening the supply for the salt water to that cooler, and I probably will want to trace out the line that goes overboard and check the overboard valve. It seems to be open fully, so there might be some marine growth on the outside of this discharge overboard valve, or a problem in the flow of the tubes in the cooler.
It's not what hot before and after the cooler, so it's like it's got no flow. The oil's only 45 degrees, so it doesn't matter.
Of course, I found another little oil leak. This is no problem at all. It's just something I noticed and just want to clean up, just inspect, show you guys that, like before, a couple of other oil leaks, you find a few different things, especially when you start up a ship after this long, for the period of time that we're running it for. Get it all warm and things expand and stuff like that. So just a part of the job. I just want to clean it up, make it a bit nicer, and obviously put it on the list for jobs to do, which seems to be growing every day. Last inspections on the shaft before we shut down. It's good to see the shaft spinning this quick. Just checking the bearing, tamps and oil levels again. Again, we haven't run this for this long, for more than 5 years, so being overcautious, I guess. You saw me check this earlier, but when you're at sea, you do check it quite regularly, especially on the ship. We certainly did. We did rounds quite frequently, which is where you walk around the entire engine room and check pressures, temperatures, levels and stuff like that. So I'm just accustomed to doing checks more frequently than other ships on this ship, just because of the history, my history with this ship and its history. So all these checks are going quite well. I want to have a look at the stacks, the exhaust gases coming out of the starboard main engine.
So upon startup, the starboard main engine has been smoky. So what I want to look at is, now that it's sort of warm, it's not actually warm. Jacket water temperature is only 60 to 65. It should be 80 roundabouts. So let's have a look at the smoke, mate.
Well, that looks bloody awesome. There's a tiny bit of smoke, but all the rest is just heat haze, which is perfect, especially for an old engine like this. This is a crankcase ventilation there, and that's really good for a massive marine diesel, so I'm happy.
Copy, Ashley.
Are you Steve?
Yeah, okay, RPM lower.
Roger.
That's pretty bloody clear exhaust fumes. Look at that, mate. Just a bloody haze. I'm impressed. The tuning for the starboard main engine needs to, the injection timing and fuel delivery amounts need to be adjusted because the turbo, the forward turbo, you could hear surging, was due to an imbalance in load from A bank to B bank. So we'll have to work that out, but all testing's gone quite well actually. Yeah, we're going to shut this down and get on with it. Woo. The haze from the exhaust is just haze.
Right.
Once it's warm, the starboard cleans up.
Well, that's
Very impressive.
yes.
So, going good.
So really, a pretty good effort with what's the machinery.
Yeah. Be good to get these buttons working.
Yeah, and then
the air start. I want to try main engine start with the pointer here tomorrow.
yeah,
See if we can start it without pressing that override.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Bill and I are probably going to
Yeah.
piss off shortly,
Yeah,
or shut it down. And,
Yeah, sweet. I'll declutch it now and we can
yeah,
give her 5 minutes to idle and then...
idle and then shut it down.
So the main engine's shut down. We're just going to shut down all the other stuff. Shouldn't take too long. And while we do that, I would just like to thank you all for joining me on this long form video. There are a lot of comments and questions about what the ship will be doing and when it will be setting sail to sea. And there's all good questions in there that I would like to direct to the owner, Kerry. She's the founder of the organisation Ship for Good. I'm going to do an in-depth interview with her so she can share all of the information about all those questions and stuff like that. She will shed some light on what she had to go through and how it all went down, on how she came across this vessel and what she had to do to secure it and maintain it and get it to where it is today. She's done a lot of work herself and used a lot of her funds, so I've actually put a link to her website and her donate page, so if you could donate, that'd be great. Take a look at that, and it's all not-for-profit organisation. So otherwise, thank you again for watching. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell icon. The next video coming out will be Roscoe on board. I'll be showing him a complete start-up from black ship to getting the ship ready to go to sea. It will be the first iteration. There probably will be some changes, but it's going to be a good video.
Done and dusted.
Yeah.
Bye for now. Thanks for watching and have a good one, mate.